Well, all right. Welcome back. It's the Rhythm of the City, 94.3 WYBC. I am Wanda Coppage. I have the pleasure of having another survivor, Sister's Journey. We've been speaking to great women. We're continuing today with the March feature story. I have today with me Miss Tanya Rucker. Tanya, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So I know that your story is in the calendar, by the way. You can purchase your calendar, it is on sale now. But since we have Tanya here with us, take us through the journey. When were you diagnosed? Talk to us about that day.
So I was diagnosed in 2020. It's going to be 5 years as of, I'm 5 years out. So ironically, this is funny. I always say little things happen. It's not by a mistake. It's usually on purpose. You don't really
Mhm.
know it until it happens to you. So I remember the day clearly because I was laying in bed, and I'm not a large woman by any chance. And I just happened to roll over, and my husband kind of like clipped my breast, and I was like, and I just happened to like feel and I felt a lump. And I do self breast exams most of the time, like once a month, right after
Okay.
my period. And I advise people to always, feel. And I happened to feel a lump in my breast, and I was like, okay. And so I'm in a medical profession, so I'm an ultrasound tech by trade. I also have done mammograms on various women, and you're automatically going through the checklist in your head. And I was like, this cannot be. This cannot be. And I actually was in denial for a good 24 to 48 hours. Like I
Wow.
wasn't going to do anything. And then just something kicked in and was like, listen, you need to knock it off and go get checked. So I contacted my OBGYN. I contacted my really, really good friend, Jackie, who's the manager for breast imaging at Yale New Haven Hospital. And I was like, listen, I have a lump and I need to get a mammogram and get this ball going. I've had mammograms before because I was in my 40s. I had my last child's late in life, so I was 40 years old. So I did have a mammogram between that time and the time I felt the lump, and I didn't have anything there. So we did have the mammogram done. My OBGYN, scheduled the appointment. She didn't think it was anything suspicious. So I was going in there thinking positive.
Right.
The mammogram came back, it didn't show a thing. But because I felt a lump, they did a ultrasound, and the
Mm.
ultrasound showed two different areas. And I already knew, based off of what it looked like, I was like, this isn't looking good. So they did the biopsy. They asked if I could sit and wait, and I was like, I'll wait. I'll wait whatever, how many hours I need to wait, I'll wait. Got the biopsy done, and sure enough, not even a week later, it came back positive for ductal carcinoma. So invasive ductal carcinoma. So within that same week, um, I got an MRI, and the MRI showed it was not only in just two areas that they identified, but it was a third area was suspicious. So we ended up, I also a survivor for thyroid cancer. So I
Okay.
already had an oncologist. So I contacted her, she got me in right away. And then we just started getting the ball rolling as far as what kind of interventions that I may have needed.
Tanya, and thank you for that. This is Tanya Rucker. We're speaking to her about her personal story with being diagnosed. So you said, and I wanted to unpack this. You said you're in the medical profession. You went through all of the things once you felt that there was something there. You
Mm-hmm,
got a mammogram. The mammogram came back normal,
mm-hmm.
but your instinct said that if this is not normal, let's go a step further. So are you saying when we go for our scheduled mammograms, should we be getting both? Should we ask for both?
So no, they were automatically ordered both for
O-
me because I did feel a lump.
Okay.
So typically, and I don't know the guidelines as of right now. I mean, there's different guidelines from when I was in mammography. I don't know them and I don't want to profess that I do.
Right.
So
Okay.
my OBGYN ordered both because there was a problem there. And so typically if there is something you're feeling something, they will do an ultrasound as well as a mammogram.
Okay. And prior to that moment in the bed when you were laying there and you felt something, no symptoms
No
before that.
symptoms. No,
Wow.
nothing. In retrospect, it's funny because It was on my right side. I'm right-handed. One breast is usually bigger than the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so even with my oncologist, our surgeon, the surgeon who did this surgery for my lump to remove my breast, she even said, your right breast looks considerably larger than your left. And I always thought, well, that's normal because one side was always just a little bit bigger. But
Right.
she was like, you can definitely tell the fullness. But I am, I'm not a physician. So her eye, I mean, obviously she sees multiple women multiple times a day. She was able to see it, but I personally had no symptoms. I had no pain. I didn't have any redness. I did not have any nipple discharge. I didn't have any thickening of the skin. I didn't have anything. Um, and I did feel, every once a month, I would have a self breast exam. I didn't feel anything either.
Abnormal. Right.
So is it was by happen chance, I would say. It was just the thank goodness it happened when it happened because we caught it fairly early.
Well, that's a blessing. Talk to us about the checklist before we move to the next step after you were diagnosed. What is the checklist? You said you went through the checklist in your head. What does that look like?
So my checklist, which could be different for everybody else, my
Mm-hmm.
checklist was okay. I had the mammogram check, I had the ultrasound check, I needed an MRI, got that. And then after that, I talked to my oncologist, I talked to a surgeon, and then I talked to a plastic surgeon.
Okay.
So I had all of these things done within about a good 2 weeks
Wow.
because I had at the time when I got diagnosed, I had a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. And
Mm.
all I kept thinking was, I need to be there for them.
For the mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I moved kind of quickly, and I'm very type A anyway. So I kind of moved quickly because I wanted to make sure if I had to get anything done, we get it all done.
Right.
And we were also in the heart of COVID. So we didn't know what was happening, where we were going to be at, what the hospitals were allowing. Because at one point, the hospitals weren't doing elective surgeries; they were doing only emergent stuff. And so we were very much in a time of uncertainty. But I needed to have a plan because I was already dealing with a lot at home.
So tell me, after you were diagnosed, after they said yes, this is happening, what were your next steps? What happened leading up to the surgery?
So I did see a plastic surgeon, and we had a game plan. I basically told him that I was going to have a bilateral mastectomy, and I wanted a reconstruction with my own body. So I did a deep flap reconstruction, um, and then we scheduled the surgery. And once we had the surgery done, once you get the surgery, they do, the specimen that they do. They make sure that the specimens are, whether you're going to have chemo or radiation. But it was somewhat seamless to
Mm-hmm.
some degree because I already had all that planned out. So once I had the surgery done, then it was the whirlwind of, are we going to do chemo? Are we going to do radiation? Where are we going with this? But prior to that, it was just the mental of, okay, getting yourself prepared for surgery. So I had felt the lump. I want to say I had the surgery in July. I felt the lump in May, and I had my surgery July 2nd.
You really hit the ground running with this one, Tanya.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I
So
did.
what worked when with the chemo and everything that was going to come post? You didn't do chemo?
I did not do chemo.
Okay.
So we determined with my oncologist, we determined we didn't need chemo, and because I had a bilateral mastectomy, I didn't do radiation.
Okay. What would you advise those that may be going through this right now? The actual person and even the family members that need to be there for support. How would you walk them through it?
Um, that's a hard question. Because I could tell you what I didn't do, and wish I did differently. So maybe
Okay.
that will help.
Yes.
So I was very angry for a long time when I got first diagnosed because I felt like I already had the cancer card. I was in my 20s when I got thyroid CA.
Mhm.
So I was like, couldn't figure it out right away. And so I didn't tell people. I kept it
Oh.
quiet.
Mm.
My family, my mom knew, my sisters knew, but I didn't tell my whole family because I didn't want to hear the what's next? What do you need? Are you okay? I didn't want to hear all of that. Even down when I left, because I work at the hospital, and my staff, and I'm a manager. My staff didn't know, and the day I was leaving to go out on leave is the day before I told them. I'm like, hey guys, I'm going out on a medical leave, and I will see you guys in 6 weeks. I never told them why. So I just kept it to myself. So I think looking back at it now, I didn't realize how much that hurt some of my staff. Not necessarily my staff members, but some of my family members.
Mhm.
They wish I told them. So if you have a network of family members that you're comfortable with sharing your personal journey, I think it's helpful. And it's also a healing process to let them in. And to be vulnerable. You can cry. It's okay to say, I'm scared.
It's okay, Tanya. It's okay. But
It's still
and you had your husband there with
I
you
had
every
my
step of the
husband
way.
there, and so you're navigating as a mom and as a wife and as a professional, you're navigating with a lot, because you're the one who's typically the caregiver.
Right.
You're the one who's always like, and it doesn't matter how old your kids are. Your
Mhm.
kids could be 40 years old. Like my mom was there for me the whole time. So you're always like, you as women, and some men, I don't want to take it away from them, but you kind of always put yourself last.
Right.
And so at some point it's okay to say, I need to do this for myself. I need to take care of me. Because if I'm not here to take care of me, I can't take care of you.
There you go. I wish
So,
I honestly wish more people looked at it that way. You do
yeah,
self-care is important because if you're not taking care of you, who will be there to bear the burden or not even the burden
exactly.
to take on the responsibility. Now,
Correct.
question for you, Tanya. You said you would do it differently where you would let more people in. You would share. Do you think that you would do that for them or would that be for you? Do you think that would be something that would help you out more or would it be just so that your family would be
I think
better?
it would have been more for my family
Right. Okay.
than for me. And that's just my personality.
Mhm.
Um, However, when I did the Sisters Journey calendar, there is a healing process of sharing your story,
Right.
right? Even today, talking to you, it's still very, a sore spot because I'm only 5 years out,
Mhm.
and there's still women getting diagnosed every day. We just lost another friend of ours who has been battling it for a while. Um, but it was more for them, especially my youngest sister, who, she's 13 years younger than me. And she wanted to physically be there. She
Right.
wanted to come in, move in, and help. But my husband was like, no, I got this. And he was amazed. My husband was amazing, amazing man. I wish for her to have been there to share that vulnerability with her and me. It would have helped her, and
Right.
who knows? I can't say whether it would have helped me or not. It probably would have, right? But I think it would have definitely helped her and I to be closer.
Right. Well, you still have time. You're here.
Oh,
Amen.
absolutely. I mean, we're
Amen.
here. I'm alive right
Absolutely.
now. I always say, the worst part of it, I do have to take tamoxifen daily for the next 10 years. That's, not the faintest of that drug is can be challenging at times.
Mhm.
Um, so, you can't look back. You just kind of keep moving forward and you try to like keep connecting and, right your wrong, so to speak.
Well, you're in the right place for it. As you mentioned,
Mhm.
Sister's Journey is phenomenal and you get to connect with other women that have been through similar situations and you are there to
Yes,
lift one another up. So that's beautiful. Tanya Rucker's story is the March feature,
yes,
sistersjourney.org. Get the calendar so you can read not just Tanya, but everyone. All
yeah.
of their stories are incredible.
There's
What
a
what has your journey been like since uniting and joining Sister's
they
Journey?
they are when you say remarkable, that is like an understatement. They are amazing, amazing, amazing group of women who are strong, and that strength just radiates when you meet them because they've all gone through very different journeys. Like we should all write a book, right? So um some women had gone through chemo. Some women actually had, they were in remission and then it came back, and they they allow you to see the softer side of what cancer could be,
I
because
love
cancer
that.
is ugly, you know.
Yeah.
And I would always say to some people, it's a mind, you know, it messes with your head, because every time you get sick, you're like, oh my god, or every time you have a headache, or it's every time you're like, oh no, something, it's you're always thinking it's coming back, because like the dragon that's constantly chasing you. And these women, and when you're in those moments and you need to, like, hey, I need to talk through this,
Mm-hmm.
you have women that's actually been there and understand and not judge you.
There you go.
That is the most important part of being a part of this group of strong women, is that there's a no judgment there at all. And sometimes you just need to sound crazy, and you're okay with that,
Right. They
right?
let you be in that
Just
space.
let you be in the
Absolutely. I
space.
understand. I love that. And thank you for sharing your story with us today, Tanya.
You're
Absolutely
welcome.
incredible. I want you to go to sistersjourney.org so you can get the calendar, so you can get familiar with all of these wonderful women that I have the pleasure of chatting with each and every one of them. I'm looking forward to it. But today it was Tanya Rucker and her story. Thank you so much, Tanya.
Oh, thank you so much.
All
You're
right.
welcome.
You keep it locked right here. Before I wrap, do you want to give any socials or anything for people to follow you? Or just get the calendar and we're
I
good?
would say get the calendar and, listen to, read them remarkable stories. I'm on Facebook, but I don't, I would say connect with Sisters Journey. They're amazing.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful way to wrap. We have more music on the way. Keep it locked on Wanda Coppage. This is WYBC, The Workforce.